This is the plaintiff, David Adams. He says he was riding his motorcycle with a bunch of his buddies in Washington State, thinking life was freaking awesome, and then boom, the defendant's horse, which was roaming around free, ran across the road and hit him. He went down, big time, breaking his nose, some ribs, and messing up his knees and ankles. Now the bills are rolling in, and the defendant thinks he doesn't have to pay? Ha! He's suing for $5,000 for everything he's out. This is the defendant, Scott Perryman. He says he lives in a retro cowboy town that still has cattle drives right down Main Street. The plaintiff was speeding, and he's the one who plowed into his horse, Libby. Luckily, Libby wasn't killed by the reckless outlaw. He's happy the plaintiff isn't dead, too, but that's the risk you take when you ride on those Harley Davidsons. He's accused of saying nay.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
And welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says he was riding his chopper when the defendant's horse hit him. But the defendant says it's a cattle town and the plaintiff was speeding. It's the case of a horse has the force. Of course.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, David Adams.
Yes.
You are suing Scott Perryman for $5,000. You say your actual damages exceed that they're actually more in the category of $8,000 plus. For medical bills and other damages that you sustained as a result of an accident colliding with his horses in the street.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, there's a group of us. There's 7 or 8 motorcycles, and we're riding down the road.
This is why he can't have a motorcycle. Go ahead.
That's what my wife said, yes.
That's what your wife says, right? Right. This is why my husband cannot have a motorcycle. So there's how many of you?
There's about 8 of us, 8 motorcycles altogether.
How long have you been riding motorcycles?
I've been riding since I was 18, 19 years old, so a long time.
Has your wife given you grief about this in the past?
Yes, ma'am.
That maybe it's time to let go?
She just makes me promise every time I leave that I'll come back unscathed.
Wow. How do you enforce that one? Okay, so go ahead.
So anyway, we're riding down the road, and we're going across this farmland.
Where were you? How far from home were you riding?
We're up in, I live in Eugene, Oregon. We're up in Washington, so it's a good 500 miles away from home.
Okay. And so you were going to be riding for how many days?
We were riding, we were about 10 miles from our destination, meeting up with a bunch of other guys. We were riding Honda motorcycles, not Harley Davidsons.
Okay.
So we're about 10 miles outside of Winthrop, Washington.
Okay.
A little farmland road, nice and straight, clear. There's nothing in the way. And the first rider, as he goes by, his wife points to these horses off to the side of the road, and I'm watching them and admiring them because they're pretty. You see that all the time while you're out riding horses, cows. You'll often see them out in the pasture.
Out in the pasture,
yes.
Corralled or not corralled?
Well, there's always fences
right
when you're going down there. So
the ones
and they
she
were
was pointing at, were they corralled?
Well, I found out later. No.
You thought they were?
I thought they were. They're up ahead. They're just in the pasture. They're walking up towards the road, which a lot of times when you're riding motorcycles, that happens. They're just curious.
Right.
As the guy in front of me went by, he slowed down, did something, and I kind of made me do a double take. And then I looked again, and it's like, oh my God, there's no fence. And these horses just continue to walk towards the road. And so I start trying to slow down as fast as I can.
Right.
And the horses just kept coming. They went out into the road. And so I thought, well, I'll veer to the right and go by them as long as they keep going. Something spooked them and they went back. So I veered to the left and I was very close. And I kind of had my handlebars off to the side. I thought I can just get by because he's kind of pointing away from me, the lead horse. And right as I got to him, he spooked and slammed back the other way and knocked me and my motorcycle across the road.
Okay. Were you injured?
Yes, I had broken ribs, broken nose. My face was hamburger. My nose was hamburger.
Do you have pictures?
Yeah.
Do you have medical bills?
I do have medical bills.
Okay. Can I see all of that? You still riding?
Yes, ma'am.
This is for the Lord.
What happened?
Well, this gentleman is riding his bike like he said he was in an area that is a cowboy town. They were coming over to Winthrop, and Winthrop is known for its cattle and it's known for being a horse town. That's what it was built on. And the little town that is outside of Winthrop by about 12 miles is a little small county road. There's pasture, there's horses. It's a range county, meaning that, and it's posted that it's range, meaning watch out for range animals.
What are range animals?
Range animals is our livestock. And so, you know, these folks, if they're driving, especially in a parade of bikes, and I believe some of them were Harleys.
Oh, they're Harleys or Hondas, but go ahead.
That they should be cognizant of livestock and horses and anything that could be on a small county road like this, especially on a small straight stretch.
I'm not understanding what your premise is. Is your premise that it is posted that horses will roam free and not be fenced?
No, it doesn't say horses.
Okay. So how did your horses get out? It was an accident?
So if it's a cattle town, who has the right of way, the horse or the motorcycle driver?
I would say the horse. If you know it's a cattle town, you have to expect that.
Is that right, the horse?
I mean, personally, yeah, I would say that the horse has, you know, the right
I don't know
of
what
way.
personally has to do with it, but I kind of get it. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely the horse has the right of way.
The horse has the right of way. Very interesting. Okay, horse can kind of strut down the street, going inside the courtroom.
They got out of the corral. Libby's an Arabian, and she's fairly smart, and got into the fence and pushed the fence and pushed the fence and finally got an edge of it out. And when she got out, the other horse followed her, I'm sure.
Right.
I wasn't there.
Had that happened before?
No.
Did Libby survive?
She survived, and with she had about $300 worth of vet bills, and she's healthy and happy today.
Okay. And what'd you do to secure the corral door so that this doesn't happen again?
Oh, I put chain link and new screws and new
Were the old
boards and-
screws bad or something? I'm trying to figure out how she got out. There were no chains securing anything. It was just sort of like
It was
the latch was
screwed.
closed and that was
screwed. No, it was screwed into the pressure treated board, and
Right.
the pressure treated screw slowly worked its way out
Okay.
through pressure.
Okay.
You know, and horses will get out, and you know, sometimes you're in an area where there's ranches. I mean, you know, at some point in time, there's a possibility.
Well,
that your
yeah,
horses
that's
can
why
get out.
you've got to maintain your property and maintain the gate. I mean, how would this be his fault? I mean, you know, he's got like $8,000 worth of bills between the hospital, the ambulance, his stuff that got damaged. The bike was totaled. So he got compensated for that by his insurance company, but he had to pay the $500 deductible. You know, he has a lot of expenses. Why should I look at him and say, you know what, this is your fault? Why should I do that?
Well, the skid marks on the road where he had hit Libby were excessively long, at least 15, 20 feet long, and it's a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. And if you see horses coming up or you're in an area like that, to go over 35 miles an hour, which I believe he was going over 35
Based on
miles.
what? The length of a 20-foot skid mark?
Yeah, on a heavy Harley.
Who died and made you an accident reconstructionist? Why would a 20-foot skid mark mean he had to be? Did the police ever come out and investigate?
Yeah.
And did their report conclude that?
No.
Oh, okay. It's a problem for you. By the way, does everybody have insurance?
I do have medical insurance.
And did your medical cover your medical bills?
No. They denied it at first because it was a third-party responsibility, is what they told me. So I did send them a letter of grievance asking that, you know, everybody is denying this, and I do have medical insurance, so they did cover a portion of the hospital bill.
Okay. What portion of the hospital bill did they cover?
They covered the total due on the hospital now is $2,049, which was originally $39.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of them have not been covered at all.
The EMT and the ambulance didn't get covered?
No.
All right, Mr. Adams, based on what I've heard of Mr. Perryman, based on what I've heard, I am finding in favor of Mr. Adams in this case. His actual damages far exceed $5,000, even taking into account the additional hospital insurance payment that there's been on your medical insurance. It's still well over $5,000. I find in favor of the plaintiff in this case in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you, Aaron.
Well, here comes the defendant on the losing end of this verdict. Seems like you needed to keep those horses under control.
Well, I still believe that they were going too fast, and that a group of Harley-Davidson coming over to tour cowboy country should have slowed down and took it under their control.
There's just no way to prove that they were going too fast. Even the skid mark, the cops didn't say it.
Well, the cops didn't measure it, and I should have brought that up in the case to have them go up and do a speed measurement on that.
Are you a real cowboy?
I
You know,
ride
like
up in
with
the
horses and lariats. And
I can
everything?
do that. Yeah,
Can you?
not with the lariats, but I pack and I hunt and
Wow.
that's why we have horses.
Wow, and that's what life is like out there in Winthrop?
Yep, it's pretty basic and up in the hills.
All right. Good luck with everything. Nice to meet you. So come on in here. Did you know that there were animals that, well, not horses necessarily, but animals that might be on that road?
Not on that road, no. We've been through free range areas up in Washington and Oregon, and it's pretty well marked. I don't think it was marked that way, and I mean it's real obvious when you're in a free range.
You were
area.
totally shocked to see a horse right out in the middle of the highway as you were with a road?
The part that's horrible is that I watched him all the way. I was admiring them. I thought they were gorgeous, and
It's just that he spooked at the last
Well,
moment.
they just kept coming, and then all of a sudden, that's when you realize, oh, there's no fence.
And this doesn't dissuade you from riding the bike out there on the open highway?
Not in the least.
You just get right up?
How many times do you think this actually happens?
Harvey?
Okay, the fact is, even if it's a cattle town, the animals have to be restrained. It's kind of like a leash law on steroids, but horses have to be confined too. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.